I want to talk a little bit more about how Detroit got you to where you're at with your music and kind of how it started. How I just love Detroit history, so I'm sure you probably spoke about this so many times, but this is just selfishly for me, how it kind of started for you with like the introduction of techno and house music or electronic music. How did that start for you?
I was in high school
Yeah.
and listening to the radio, you would hear these weird songs played on the radio by this DJ, Electrifying Mojo.
Electrifying Mojo, yeah.
And he's essential to every person from my generation and a little bit before.
Is he still alive?
Mojo, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as I know, I mean, I've never been in contact with him. I never talked to him, but if he had passed away, I'm positive the city would come to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To honor that man. Pivotal to everything and anything music-wise in Detroit when it comes to techno. Because he was playing these tracks, and between him and being able to go after school and listen to the scene, watch the scene on TV. It's a dance show, a local dance show in Detroit, and hear new music that it just was different.
Yeah.
You know, and it just made your body want to move. You know, it was body music back then. And from that point, I had a couple of friends who used to go to this club, you know, as I got older, and it was called Music Institute. They kept telling me about it. And I hadn't even, I would sneak into clubs if I could with my friends. But the goal back then was to go to a club so you could drink. You know, in Detroit and most of America, the drinking age is, in all of America, the drinking age is 21 or over.
Yeah.
So if you don't go to Canada, where it was 18, then you'd have to sneak into a club.
Yeah.
You know, so we were sneaking in the clubs just to drink, but then my friend was like, yeah, you got to come to this after hours place. It doesn't open until midnight or 1. And, you know, and we were like, okay, so we went, couldn't get in, too young. It's like, damn. So we went back again the next week and then snuck in, went to the back and paid security. And I'll never forget, it was dark. You couldn't see shit. There was one strobe light. And then we'll go to the bar, there's no alcohol. I was like, what the fuck? There's juice, like fruit juice. And I was like, what kind of shit is this? But then the more you're there, you listen, you start hearing this music and you're like, man, this is crazy. And then you're seeing these flashes of pictures because of strobe. So every image you see is like a photo. You didn't know where the DJ was, you know, until you finally enter into the room and you look up and you see the DJ booth is way at the top, you know, and it's lit, you know, backlit. So you could see, and I think it was Derek May was playing, either him or D-Win.
Yeah.
And this music was coming out, and I was like, this is crazy. And the best part to me was, it wasn't about what people look like. It wasn't about what they were wearing.
Yeah.
It was free. It was just, everybody was free to be who they wanted to be. And I had snuck into Club Heaven before, where Ken Collier used to play, and places like that. But the Music Institute was like that on steroids, you know, because Heaven was a gay club.
Yeah.
So it was about the music, but it was straight up gay club.
Yeah.
So it was like a safe place for, you know, for the community to be. And the Music Institute was open as well as Heaven, but it was open to everybody. And it was easily accessible to people who wouldn't normally know about Heaven.
Yeah.
So it was kind of backtracking. You go and hear Derek or, you know, D-Win, and then you find out about Ken Collier and you go to Heaven. Yeah. You know, you kind of backtrack it.
Where was Heaven?
Where?
Where, yeah.
It was off of 6 Mile.
Okay.
In Woodward.
Yeah.
Yeah. That place was bananas, man. It was in the hood. It was like on the border, you know, but it was in the hood. It was funny because everybody kept saying, be careful. You know, when I told them, yeah, I'm going to go to Heaven, be careful. And I'm like, I'm going to a gay club for the first time. Be careful. You know what I mean? And I didn't understand what they meant. I got there, you would never know. Like, honestly, just rolling up in the parking lot, you would never, ever guess it was a gay club.
Really?
Because it was all hood motherfuckers in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Like straight up gangsters, you know what I mean? So go in the club, everybody's dancing, everybody's having a good time. Next thing you know, you see some commotion and the crowd opens up a little, the music stops. And this big ass booming voice comes, children, if you can't behave yourselves, I'm not going to play any more of this fucking music. I was like, what is going on? So there was a fight and somebody pulled out a knife on the dance floor. On the dance floor. I'd never seen that shit happen before. I've been to parties where they got shot up or, you know, you just hear a pop out or somebody couldn't get in. But to be on the dance floor and pull a knife, that's some gangster shit.
Yeah.
That's not weak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You pull out a gun and wave it around. But to pull a knife and say, look, motherfucker, I'm going to get close to you and I'm going to stab you. And then to not even shut the whole thing down. Because every time in Detroit when somebody, you hear gunshots, the party's over.
Game over, yeah.
But somebody pull a knife, King Kyle would just get on the mic and be like, look, you know, and he would say something and they would be like, fuck it, put that shit away. And then go back to the party.
Wow.
I was like, this is crazy. And then after we're leaving, and there was so much like drama in the parking lot, people arguing, people about to, you know, fight, somebody about to get shot, pulling guns. I was like, this is the wildest club I've ever been to in my life. And it's the gay club. That's why everybody's like, be careful, heaven ain't no joke. So that's when I started to understand that my perception of what gay people act like, what they look like, who they were, was completely off.
Yeah.
Because anybody could be whoever they wanted to be, and you'd never know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Until they decided to let you know.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew. I was like, okay. So I went to heaven, went to Music Institute, and I got hooked on the music. And I just wanted to hear more of it. Mm-hmm. And at the time, the only way you could hear it was either on the radio or if you bought the vinyl. So I went to Record Time, to the record shop. You know, my friend Pete, Sneaky Pete, we call him, took me to Record Time and was like, you know, this is where you can get all that shit. So I went to Record Time. And then by right, if you go up and down 6 and 7 Mile, there was good record shops. There was By Right, there was Chauncey's. Yeah. There was Professionals. Rob Hood used to work at Professionals. Moody Man and Rick Wild used to work at By Right. Huckabee worked at Record Time. Mm-hmm. You know, Al Esther used to work at, was it Melodies and Memories? Mm. So there was all these joints where you could go.
Melodies and Memories is still going.
Man, and you know what's dope about that? It's not just the vinyl, it's all the collectibles. Yeah. The lunch boxes and the figurines and that's dope.
They do cool shit.
Gary had a vision, man. I mean, but that's true to Detroit, you know, and you go and dig. And I used to see Jay Dilla in this record shop. I can't remember the name of it. It was in Ferndale, I remember, on 9 Mile. Mm. And he would just go in there and get a stack and then dig and dig and dig and go back the next day and dig and dig. You know, that's what we do. We go to whatever record shop that has vinyl, wherever there is vinyl. It doesn't have to be a record shop.
Just go.
You just go and ask them. Salvation Army, there's a bunch of vinyl there. You go and you dig, you know. But I got into the music that way, and it just gave me this feeling of, I say freedom all the time, but freedom, a sense of futurism. Yeah. Because I couldn't put my finger on what it was, where it was from. I didn't know Detroit techno was from Detroit until I met, you know, and saw Derek and Juan. Yeah. And I was like, I was so proud because I fell in love with the music. And then I go, this shit is from here. Cybertron is from here, you know, holy shit. And then I knew all the labels and I go and visit people. And so it just grew from there. And I ended up playing like residencies in clubs. You know, I would buy my vinyl and I was working full time. I was going to school. So it was tough because that vinyl cost, especially imports.
Yeah.
So I would have to justify buying the vinyl. You know, what am I buying it for if I can't, you know, make money off of it?
Yeah.
So I had to limit it, you know. And that was tough, cutting down your stack in the vinyl shop. Like, damn, I want all these, but I can only get these. But then Thomas Barnett used to come by, and I would make these mixtapes.
Yeah.
And I started selling these mixtapes for like $5 a piece. And then he took one and gave it to this promoter who was doing a night at Shelter in Detroit, who was looking for a resident. And the guy was like, yeah, you know, tell Bone to come down. So I went down and started playing those. The night was called Love Club.
Yeah.
And did it. And it was dope, you know, because I ended up as a resident there. And used to play Shelter, St. Andrews, this club in Pontiac called Industry, Velvet Lounge, Lush in Hamtramck, Motor, of course. But that's how it started. I was doing the residencies and I started getting booked for the warehouse parties.
Yeah.
And there I am now, being able to play with some of the people who I looked at and was like, holy shit, you know, that's Rob Wood, that's Richie Houghton over there, that's such and such. And these guys they were older than me, but not, you know, that much older.
Yeah.
So that's what was really cool about it, you know. And then I ended up meeting Mad Mike, and it flowed, you know. And I got along with pretty much everybody in Detroit.
Yeah.
There were certain people I could hang out with, and a lot of people were just colleagues.
Yeah.
You know, but I always kept to myself as far as not having a clique or a crew, or you know, because you would have like Juan Kevin Derrick, Stacey Kenny Carl, you know, the waves they called it.
Yeah,
I never fit into any wave. They can't tell me. I still to this day when people say what wave of Detroit thing, I don't know.
Just part
I'm
of
like,
it.
Point something. I don't know. I'm in between. I don't know what layers, but it's not on that. It's point something.
Yeah.
But because I was just individual, you know, and I think that's what helped me too. Is I don't have loyalties to anybody besides myself.
Yeah.
And the city, you know. But the city's tough. The city it'll raise you, you know, one way or another, but it won't nurture you, you know, past a certain point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
You know,
I think it's like anything. For me, where I kind of, my career really started was in Ibiza for me. Is I moved to Ibiza when I was 17. And,
damn.
Yeah, and started super young. And like I got a residency by the age of 18, and like that's like I did 3-4 summers in Ibiza, and got to a point for me where I was like I knew a bunch of people, but I was just a resident. And I had to step out of that to then take a next move in my career to be part of the actual industry rather than just being the resident or the.
What was that move?
I just left, just didn't go back and do a summer, and I didn't go back and play until this year, like properly this year.
Yeah.
Like I've been back and done shows, but like not anything that I would be proud of or would talk about or like rave about, you know what I mean? And it's only like I needed to build my career outside of being an Ibiza resident.
See, people need to understand that. That's the best foundation you can have is being a resident.
Yeah.
But then you have to graduate. You have to graduate and move forward. And that's when you become an artist and you grow.
Yeah.
And that's what people didn't understand about me is that I had to leave. I had to stop playing Detroit.
Yeah.
You know, as much as I love Detroit, the scene there fell apart. It fell the fuck apart. I mean, if you go back and look, there's this page I follow, this account on Instagram, and they had this video, old videos from heaven. And you have this all, you know, black gay crowd, and they're in there kicking and whacking and voguing and lip syncing. And then you see some old videos of the scene and the new dance show, and even maybe some footage from like some early raves
Yeah.
or from the MI, which there's no video really I know of from MI, from Music Institute. But if you look at the scene and you get the vibe of it, it's not me saying, you know, I can't stand that it's not Black anymore. I can't stand that it's lost the essence of what it is.
Yeah.
It's completely flipped.